Welcome. My name is Father Mark Toops, a priest of the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux, welcoming you into a conversation together as we together ask, what is it that God is doing in our diocese through plans of hope, the strategic plan that He has given us, which we have received from Him, a strategic plan for the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. Perhaps you have heard that our diocese is undergoing some strategic planning. Perhaps you yourself participated in aspects of the developing of the plan. Or perhaps you're a parishioner in the pew with great anticipation of what God is going to do in your life and in your parish, and you're asking yourself a little bit more about the strategic plan. Whatever the questions are that led you to our conversation today, I want to say welcome. And as we begin, I first want to say that what we're talking about today is really a movement of God. We received all of this from the Lord Himself. God is the one who's been leading us. God is the one who will continue to lead us. And it is with great thanksgiving in my heart that I welcome you into a conversation about what God is doing. And the story of what God is doing, we're going to tell today in 6 different chapters. The first chapter, why is it that we started a planning process? Why is it that God led Bishop Fob to initiate a planning process in the diocese? That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 will be how is it that we conceived the fundamental aspects of the plan, and how is it that we received, you might say, the direction that God wanted to take us. Chapter 3 will be how we're tailoring the plan to the individual parishes and therefore implementing the plan in that tailored approach in the individual parishes. And then finally, we'll round out how we're supporting the plan so that we can succeed in what God has given us. And finally, summarizing the heart of the plan, which is, of course, the renewal of parish life, and which is really where we're going to impact a lot of people's lives. I want to say welcome. It's great as we tell you this story about what God is doing in our diocese. The first part for us to understand what God is doing in our diocese is to understand why is it that we began the process of strategic planning to begin with. And I want to start the conversation welcoming you today as we ask, why is it that we have a plan to begin with? And for that, we not only start with the inspiration of God, but the very heart that He inspired initially, which was our bishop, Bishop Shelton Fob. Bishop Fob joined our diocese in 2013, and as he joined our diocese, he did what he does best, which is be with people and listen to people and get to know people. His Episcopal motto is comfort my people, and what Bishop Fob brought to our diocese was a heart that longs to comfort his people. And part of comforting his people is listening to his people. And I have enjoyed listening to Bishop Fob tell the stories of how he had a great longing to just get to know the people of our diocese and to listen to the people of our diocese. In those early months in 2013, all the way into the early months of 2014, Bishop Fob did just that. He just got to know the people of our diocese. He listened to their hearts. He entered into conversation. He took time to be with people. And as he listened to people, he noticed that God was already doing some amazing things. We stand on the shoulders of generations before us who have passed on the faith generation to generation. We stand on the shoulders of other bishops who preceded him, who have done great work in listening to God and passing on the faith. The first thing that Bishop Fob will tell you himself, the first thing that he noticed was that God was doing great things already in the lives of people. But he also recognized that amidst all of the beautiful work that was there, even more could happen if we were postured to receive that in what he described as a culture of planning. Not just simply standing back and allowing the Lord to speak to us, but providing a structure so that we were more able to hear God and more able to receive what God wanted for us. A structure of planning in our parishes, a structure of planning in our own pastoral center. From his office all the way down to the offices in our parishes, he wanted a culture of planning so that we were always listening to people. We were always listening to the Lord. We were always researching how we can best respond to the needs of the people in the pew. A culture of planning where we're always equipped to implement the things that God has given to us, has He entrusted to us. This culture of planning, which Bishop Fobb tasted in other aspects of his history as a priest, was something that he carried in his heart, that the Lord lifted up in his heart, and that led him to begin asking questions, not only about the good things that were happening in our diocese, but the great things that could happen in our diocese if we just committed ourselves to a culture, a discipline, a process of planning. As Bishop Fobb surveyed our diocese, he came to see the beauty of our parishes. He saw the rich history of our parishes. He saw the unique personalities of all of our parishes. And what he began to carry in his heart was a desire for the renewal of our parishes. Every one of our parishes stands, you might say, on the edge of possibilities of what God could do. But there's no renewal of the church without the renewal of the parish. That's where we live with each other. It's where we go to school. It's where we stand shoulder to shoulder. It's where we celebrate life. It's where we support each other in tragedy. It's where we celebrate the sacraments week in, week out. It's where we live together. Bishop Fobb knew in his heart, as a pastor himself, that if there's going to be renewal in the church and renewal of a diocese, there needs to be renewal of parish life. And as Bishop Fobb joined our diocese, he understood that a diocese is merely a collection of parishes. It's all of us together. The diocese per se is not a building on Highway 311 or a set of administrative policies. The diocese isn't some outside force that tells us what we can or cannot do. You're the diocese, I'm the diocese, all of us together, disciples walking on the road together. All of us together are the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. And as we most naturally in the Catholic Church live and pray and support each other in the parishes, he understood that it's the renewal of parish life that the Lord was lifting up as the center of what could be affected by this culture of planning within his own desire to comfort his people. What led us into a conversation of strategic planning was Bishop Fobb's heart and his leadership, his desire for a culture of planning, and the emergence, the centrality, you might say, of the renewal of parish life as that which could be impacted if we would come together, join our hearts and our efforts in a strategic planning process.